Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the inaugural episode of Battle for Supremacy, a new premier gamecast exclusively on GameReplays.org. With me is my esteemed co-host, SolidSpartan.
Hey guys, how you doing?
And I am, of course, the ever-present Bentguru, whom you probably know and hate. Since this is our first gamecast, we're going to take a little bit of time before we start the matches to sort of explain what we're trying to do here. Really, our goal is pretty simple. We want to bring professional sports-style commentating to Dawn of War 2. We're just not going to be reiterating what we see on the screen. We're going to be talking over tactics, strategies, what each player could be doing differently, especially between the matches. We're going to talk about what went right, what went wrong, what we think they'll change as the best of three matchup goes on, stuff like that. So
think of this as like the Monday Night Football of game casting for our American viewers. Basically, we're just looking to bring sort of a what you'd see from professional sports and bring that to Dawn of War specifically. And it's going to be a little bit new for us having two hosts, but we'll do what we can for you.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever done a co-host with anyone, so this is a completely new thing for me.
We'll just shout over each other the whole time. It'll be a blast.
Oh, yeah. All right, so we are paused at the 5-second mark. I am watching Bioterra. My preference for Eldar, pretty well known, even though they're a pretty crappy race right now, in my opinion.
Likewise for me, I'll be watching Aniketos, being a Space Marine player myself.
All righty. So we are both paused at the 5-second mark. And if everybody is ready, we will unpause in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, unpause. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So, what do you think we're going to see from Aniketos to start out here?
Well, whenever I see Space Marine versus Eldar, I tend to favor the Assault Marine start. Obviously, I stick to attack start in most cases, but I'm referring to the second unit out. Already, this has been contradicted as Aniketos went with his first thing out being a second scout squad.
Yeah, and we do have something relatively new in Eldar play from Bioterra here as well. The Warlock. It's not an uncommon hero, but recently we've been seeing a lot of Farseer, Doom, Fortune, that sort of thing. And a couple of Eldar players have sort of switched back to the Warlock, and they've been using Conceal a lot. An interesting note for the people who don't know, the tooltip for Conceal, it says it reduces rain damage. That is actually incorrect. It reduces all damage. So it's basically Fortune, but better.
Interesting note from Aniketos here. Still no attack squad out. Instead, he elects to go for the Devastator Heavy Bolter squad. Interesting choice against the Eldar, who are able to quickly cover the map using Fleet of Foot, making flanking that much easier.
Yeah.
Interested to see what we'll see next out of him.
And we are seeing pretty dispersed Eldar capping scheme for the beginning 3 Guardian squads, each one going after a separate VP point. Bioterra obviously wanting to get the VPs going as quickly as possible.
Nearly identical power output from both players. Aniketos with the slightly faster third generator,
yeah.
But they're both up to 3 at this point.
Oh, great flank by that Heavy Bolter squad.
That's what I was worried about with the Eldar Fleet of Foot ability. They have the ability to really cover the map a lot quicker than the Space Marine player. So the Devastator's a tough choice in this matchup.
Yeah, well, we're already seeing the SM counterattack here. But Bioterra decides to be nasty and gets in the building.
Without the sergeants to throw the grenades, there's not really much Aniketos can do at this point, so he's forced to withdraw from that skirmish.
Luckily, the only damage he really took was that power generator got reduced to half health.
Right, by forcing the squad into the building there, the Guardian squad rather, it makes him unable to throw the grenades. So if he wants to get out of that building, he's going to face the Devastator once again. So
yeah.
Not really too much loss.
Oh, there's our second grenade. The power generator lives.
Very quick thinking by Aniketos, getting the scouts repairing that as quickly as possible. So no real losses to speak of on his part.
Except for map control, as Bioterra quickly caps everything he can find.
That goes without saying for most Space Marine players, however. We're used to giving up a lot of map early. Already got another Guardian squad in there,
Yep.
harassing PowerPoint.
Doesn't look like they're upgraded with nades yet, though, as they're just shooting away.
Aniketos doing the
Oh, no, I'm wrong.
typical Space Marine tactic of consolidating his forces to one central location. He's got both scout squads, his devastators, and his force commander working in conjunction with one another.
Yeah. And it's something that shouldn't be much of a surprise. We do have Tier 2 up from the Eldar. And it looks like Tier 2 up from Aniketos as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's got the little the blue stick popping out of the headquarters, and the Razorback rolling out as we speak.
Ooh! That's really going to mess up these Guardians. And
Yeah, Aniketos is one of those players that strongly favors the fast Razorback, and against a lot of Guardians, like he's already seen, there isn't really a hard counter on the map for them at all.
No, there's not even a soft counter. There's absolutely nothing Bioterra can do to it yet. Of course, once a Falcon makes it out, it's kind of screwed.
He really opened up his options by getting Scout and Devastator. He's got a lot more mobility at this point to complement the Razorback. The Razorback will drive pretty much everything that the Eldar player has off the map at this point, while Aniketos can use the dual Scouts to cap a lot easier than the Scout and Tac Squad.
Yeah, definitely. I think Bioterra right now is just trying to stall as long as he can. Because once that Falcon does make it out, that Razorback is toast, but Falcon tends to cost a lot more too, so.
Right. So Aniketos did take a VP hit in the beginning here, but certainly nothing that can't be surmounted fairly quickly.
Yeah.
Here.
We've actually got a little heavy bolter raid on the Eldar power farm down here.
The heavy bolters absolutely cut through generators. Unfortunately, he only managed to take out the power node, which I assume will be rebuilt very quickly.
Yeah, there it goes already.
Two Razorbacks out now, so Aniketos is sticking with what works and looking to really decimate the infantry-only forces from the Eldar.
It's not so much infantry only now, as we do have our first Falcon. And unless I'm much mistaken, there's nothing on the field for Aniketos that can damage that.
There's the drawback of skipping the Tac Squad without any kind of missile launcher, which would be very devastating at this point until the Falcon gets his shield.
The bigger question
there really
right
is
now
no
is,
anti-armor.
what the hell is the Falcon doing, shooting the heavy bolter squad instead of trying to run down these Razorbacks?
The Razorback does pose the more long-term threat here.
And he's got virtually no chance of eliminating that squad completely, so.
The tough break for Aniketos here, bringing the Devastator Bolter all the way across the map and essentially walking away with no effective generator harassment.
Yeah.
He only managed to destroy the power node, so essentially costed Bioterra a mere 100 requisition.
Yeah. But it's worth it to note that all three VPs are now in Aniketos' favor, although probably not for long.
Not for long. Guardians already scurrying out there.
Yeah. Well, look at this Falcon pushing off the entire SM army. That's why I love the thing.
One thing I'd like to note is that I don't see any war gear upgrades on the Force Commander as of yet.
We did get a psychic shield thing up, and looks like one of the weapon upgrades for the Warlock as well, the Energy Drain Blade. So apparently Bioterra thinks Aniketos is going to go for a Bubble Boy.
That is the popular thing among Space Marine players, but there is a significant recoil among a lot of the top Space Marine players to try to avoid the Bubble Boy to prevent accusations of abusing an overpowered unit. And Aniketos goes and makes a liar out of me and upgrades the Power Fist on his Force Commander. So.
That's going to be a lot more useful now that the Eldar player, Bioterra, is knocking out vehicles. Although we actually do have a missile squad out now.
With the missile attack and the Power Fist, that is some significant anti-vehicle. One thing I do like to see always combined with the Power Fist is the teleporter pack instead of the shield, because you can get immediately close distances to vehicles and shut them down.
This is vintage Company of Heroes right here. Aniketos using his Razorback to block the retreat of the Falcon there for a little bit. And it still might die. It's taking damage from that Force Commander.
Yeah, that's a great move because he did lose it.
There he goes.
Blocking that Falcon to get the extra missile shot off the missiles do a lot of damage, but their weakness is their rate of fire. So if you can keep the enemy in range of the missiles for as long as possible, that's where you're going to maximize their effectiveness.
And now we've got these dual Razorbacks just raping everything on the field for Bioterra again.
Once again, without a counter on the map, so...
This is why I sort of like the early Banshees. Because you're probably not going to kill a Razorback with them, but you can at least do something to it. You can cause some damage.
You can force it back, and at that point, Aniketos would have to repair the Razorback, which not only ties up the Razorback, but the Scout Squad repairing it. So the VP's back in the favor of Bioterra, but once again...
Not for long. Yeah, they're already changing. And we've got out another Falcon. That's actually going to hurt, because... that power he could have used to upgrade to Tier 3 and gotten the Falcon Shield, which really would have helped him a lot more, because he still has to deal with this Missile Tac Squad as well.
Yeah, until he gets that shield up, the Missile Tacs are a huge threat to that Falcon.
And it looks like he's going to try and send in the Warlock to do something, but that's getting the shit kicked out of it by both Razorbacks and the Force Commander.
The Power Fist is, it's not that bad against infantry.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, it's not as good as the AoE abilities of the Hammer, but especially when used in conjunction with Battlecry, has a great amount of knockback.
Oh, we have a Bright Lance cannon out here.
Obviously, Bioterra has recognized that his major weakness is coming from the Razorbacks and needs to do more to counter those effectively.
We just lost our first squad there of the game. The Warlock went down, and there goes one of the Razorbacks as well.
Bioterra doing a really great job with that Falcon. He managed to time its ins and outs with the missile tacs, and they actually got some wasted shots off on infantry.
Yeah. Well, the Warlock, he did kind of sacrifice that to tie up the missile tacs away from the front.
He's got his one remaining Razorback, Aniketos does, being repaired by Scout Squad.
Well, it's going to be a lot less effective now that we've got a Bright Lance cannon out on the field. Oh, Bright Lance weapon.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what Aniketos brings out now that effectively his vehicles have been countered. It looks like the answer to that is going to be a Devastator Plasma Cannon Squad.
Yeah.
You see a lot of those against Orc and Tyranid because they tend to glob up a lot of infantry. Let's see how effective it's going to be against the Eldar army.
I don't know. Personally, I've always loved it when I faced a SM player who went for deployable weapon teams when I was using the Warlock, because I would just spam Warp Throw.
Oh yeah, I didn't think of that. Obviously, that would just hurl the emplacement and force it to reset up, and it's going to be in a tight spot at that point. Not a whole lot of VPs ticking down right now. Both players have been consistently decapping.
Yeah, our Warlock still hasn't been respawned here. It's sitting at 250 requisition. Bioterra went and got Tier 3, as we can see from the Falcon Shield now.
Aniketos is floating a lot of power right now. He's pushing almost 200, which is
Jesus.
Obviously well above anything a Space Marine unit would cost. The number one unit weighing in at 125 with the Predator.
And I don't really... Well, Predator actually wouldn't be too bad to deal with this Falcon. They tend to take down the shield pretty quickly, I find. Usually about 2 shots or so.
Right now the plasma cannon is set up towards the central victory point, facing downward. Got a shot off on the Warlock, and looks like it's just barely in range of that Bright Lance cannon as well, but I doubt he has sight on it at the moment.
Yeah, I think Aniketos, unless he does something very wrong very soon, I think he's going to win this one. I mean, that's just so many units for a Space Marine player to have out on the field.
The thing about Space Marines is that they have a small amount of very durable units, so when you get the sort of the snowball effect going with their units, eventually they hit critical mass, and all their units typically have a lot of experience on them because they're so durable.
Yeah. Looks like we got dual sniper rifles out on those scouts as well, so we can forget using platforms effectively.
The Falcon tank is looping around the plasma cannon as we speak, however, but the missile tacs are nearby.
And looks like we're suiciding the Warlock into the middle of the Space Marine army. I think so.
Maybe a little bit too over-concerned with this Devastator plasma gun.
Yeah. Looks like the Warlock has booked it.
The Falcon alone probably would have been enough to force the plasma gun off the map.
If he's not careful, he's going to get hit with the Force Commander Power Fist too here and get disabled. And like that. That is not going to be good. And there goes the shields and Falcon number 2. And
meanwhile, the Razorback's still up and kicking, so now that
the Razorback
Eldar forces have been reduced to being vehicleless, the Razorback is once again reigning supreme over the map.
Bioterra is not only vehicleless, he's unitless at this point. All he has is the Warlock. Everything else died. He just made another Falcon, but there's no way it's going to be able to solo the entire Space Marine army.
Aniketos did elect to reinforce his Devastator plasma cannon squad. A lot of players usually ignore it if they only take 1 unit loss and send the Devastator out with 2 guys because it's the same amount of DPS output either way. However, he elected to increase his durability.
And they shall know no fear.
As you can see, that those tac squads are taking almost no damage from what would otherwise be a very high damage output of the Falcon and Warlock.
Yep.
Plus, they're able to knock down the Warlock, which makes it do almost no DPS whatsoever.
And here comes another disable from the Force Commander. Or no, maybe not.
He had the energy to do it, just didn't get it off apparently.
Yeah, we've got another Falcon, so...
Got to be careful with that tac squad. It's down to 500 health and only 2 squad members.
In Falcons we trust, apparently, is Bioterra's motto.
You try to sneak those Devastator Heavy Bolter down there to take out the generators again. Obviously, like I was saying, Space Marine units tend to stick around for a very long time. Those Devastators are level 3. Managed to take out 1 generator before being forced out by the Falcon tank.
Yeah. I think Bioterra was just outplayed here from the beginning. I mean...
It was just too long to have those Razorbacks running around uncountered.
Yeah. I mean, one of the real advantages Eldar have is mobility. And those Razorbacks, they just took it away so easily.
Earlier when I was commenting on the fact that Aniketos didn't upgrade his Force Commander yet, that turned out to be the right choice as it freed him up to be able to upgrade later, which let him upgrade that Power Fist, which has been one of the difference makers in this game for sure.
I think that Force Commander has killed 3 Falcons now, by himself.
Pretty much on his own for the most part. I mean, he's had a couple of missiles thrown in there, but...
And people whine about the Bubble Boy.
Aniketos elected to get the battle standard in its place, so he doesn't want anyone complaining about him.
Yeah. I mean, that was clearly what Bioterra was expecting here with the Bubble Boy. I mean, that's really the only reason to get the Energy Drain Blade as the Warlock. At least that's the only reason I get it.
At this point, it's going to be near impossible to crack through the Space Marines' encampment right here.
Yep.
We got a Predator out from Aniketos, so that's just going to further cement his control over the central area.
And given that we've got 2 minutes left, I mean, pretty much the only thing that will make Bioterra win is if he somehow wipes out the entire SM army in an Eldritch Storm. Barring that, he's sort of screwed.
Interesting to note is that Aniketos made almost no effort to cap the vacant southern victory point, instead electing to use his Space Marines as a more centralized force and not overstretch his bounds, keep his forces together, and basically doing what they do best, staying together, keeping the one area completely locked down.
Yeah. And here comes the last gasp of the Eldar. Ooh! Orbital Bombardment came out, actually caught a piece of this Guardian squad right here, and that guy goes...
That is 750 zeal to kill 3 Guardians, that's what that is.
Yeah, but I mean, he's won already at this point, why not?
Well, absolutely. I mean, what does he get? I mean, I'm sure he doesn't have the population room for Terminators, so
I mean, that,
might as well at least disrupt any attempts at harassment that
Yeah.
Bioterra would be able to
I
muster.
mean, one of those Guardian guys went flying over the little mountain there.
Plus, that's like what 50% of the Eldar's capping force at this point.
Yeah, something. Yeah, pretty much. And
With the Warlock down, it was 100%.
yeah, and this Falcon is just so screwed right now. There it goes.
He had to go down valiantly.
Yep. So resounding Space Marine victory here. I gonna stake my professional reputation on the fact that one Guardian squad is not gonna make a comeback in the next 15 seconds.
That would be stunning.
Yeah. That would pretty much be the greatest micro achievement ever.
So, my question is, was the Devastator Bolter the right choice in the beginning for Aniketos, or did he win in spite of the Devastator Bolter?
Well, there's the playback over. So I think actually it did help him somewhat because, I mean, that's a hell of a lot cheaper than a attack squad and a Space Marine squad, and he's sort of put all that requisition he's saved into power generators to get out those Razorbacks, and those are definitely what won the game for him.
Mm-hmm. Well, the Devastator Heavy Bolter is 345 requisition, and the Scouts are 210. So combined, they are more expensive than in the opening attack squad.
But it gives him a little bit more flexibility, I would think. I mean, two squads for one.
I think that the Scouts complemented the Razorbacks a lot in that the Razorbacks were able to establish map dominance and sort of force Bioterra off, and the Scouts were able to cap because during the middle portions of this game, the victory points were going back and forth faster than we can keep track of, and the only reason why the Space Marine player was able to keep up with the Eldar in that department is because of the Scout Squad.
Yeah. All right, so that ends the first game of our inaugural episode here. We're going to switch over in just a couple minutes to the second game, and we will see what Bioterra has in store for Aniketos after the break.